Marcus Aurelius, once the most powerful figure in the known world, sought to navigate the vast responsibilities of his empire with unwavering integrity, guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Unlike many of his predecessors and contemporaries, who often succumbed to the allure of excessive indulgence, whether through the overconsumption of wine or the bloodlust of the Colosseum, Aurelius chose a different path. He turned away from these fleeting pleasures, understanding that they were distractions that would lead him away from his true purpose, fulfilling the duty that fate had bestowed upon him, the service of humanity. In his quest to fulfill this lofty mission, Marcus Aurelius came to a profound realization. The key to a meaningful life lies in discerning what truly deserves our attention. He understood that not everything warranted concern, especially those things that neither contributed to wisdom nor aligned with his higher goals. These distractions, though numerous and ever-present, were not worth the energy they demanded. Stoicism, at its core, teaches us to distinguish between what lies within our control and what does not, a principle that Epictetus articulates with clarity in his Enchiridion. Essentially, the Stoics remind us that the vast majority of external events are beyond our influence and thus should not dictate our emotional state. But does this Stoic wisdom call for a retreat from the world and its challenges? Not at all. The Stoics advocated for a realistic approach, acknowledging the limited impact we can have on external events while urging us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, reactions, and decisions. When life presents us with pain and hardship, it often signals that we have misplaced our focus, becoming overly attached to things outside our control. In doing so, we allow these external forces to manipulate us, much like a puppet on strings, pulling us in directions we never intended to go. The Stoic path, therefore, is not one of disengagement, but of careful, thoughtful engagement with the world, where we are mindful of what we can influence and wise enough to let go of what we cannot. As a result, we often find ourselves pointing fingers at external forces, blaming them for the control they seem to exert over our lives. But in truth, this control is something we have willingly handed over to them. The moment we choose to withdraw our concern, these forces lose their power, leaving us unshaken and serene. For Marcus Aurelius, this detachment from matters beyond his influence was not merely a philosophical exercise, but a practical tool that allowed him to navigate the enormous responsibilities and trials that came with being an emperor. It kept him anchored to the divine mission he believed the gods had entrusted to him. For Epictetus, this detachment signified the essence of true freedom, a liberation from the chains of external circumstances. For others, it serves as a way to maintain focus on the goals that truly matter. And for many, embracing this form of detachment leads to a life of tranquility, free from unnecessary worries. But when life inevitably brings pain, what are the concerns we must learn to release? How do we let go of distractions that pull us away from what's important? This exploration delves into Marcus Aurelius's philosophy on why we should care less about things that don't truly matter. By the way, if you're seeking more Stoic wisdom, check out the book Stoicism for Inner Peace. It compiles my reflections on staying calm and centered in challenging times. You'll find a link in the description below. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius frequently reflects on the distinctions between the present, the past, and the future. Within each of these realms, the Roman emperor offers profound insights on how we often misplace our concerns, worrying too much, focusing on the wrong things, or stressing in ways that do not serve us. For clarity, this discussion is organized into these categories, beginning with the future. As Seneca once remarked, we suffer more in imagination than in reality, underscoring the idea that our thoughts are often the true source of our suffering. When it comes to the future, our minds tend to run wild, crafting countless scenarios of what could happen, most of which never will. Before these imagined outcomes can even materialize, we preemptively strategize on how to deal with them, all while trembling at the uncertainty of how things might unfold. Sometimes the future aligns with our expectations, but often fate has a way of surprising us, presenting us with unforeseen events that leave us reeling. Consider the person who spends years meticulously planning for a peaceful retirement, only to be struck with a terminal illness just before they can enjoy it. The mere possibility of such tragedies pushes many into a state of perpetual anxiety. Yes, the best could happen, but so could the worst. What if World War III erupts? What if I lose all my savings? These negative possibilities are real, yet as long as they remain unrealized, they are not problems we can address in the present. They exist only in the recesses of our minds, tormenting us with what-ifs. The future haunts us because we allow it to. Marcus Aurelius observed that it is not the burden of the future that weighs us down, but the weight of the present, which we alone must carry. The future itself does not cause pain. Rather, it is our current anxiety about it that brings us misery. Ironically, when the future arrives, it simply becomes the present. And in facing it, we realize that it was never the future that troubled us. It was our present worry. So what wisdom does Marcus Aurelius offer for those who are plagued by excessive concern for the future? He advises us to remember, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you must, with the same weapons of reason that you use today to confront the present. This insight is powerful. If we are capable of handling the present, then we are equally equipped to deal with whatever the future brings. He counsels against letting our imaginations run wild with fears of what could go wrong. Instead, he urges us to remain rooted in the moment, addressing the immediate challenges before us. When we focus on the present, we often find that it is bearable. And if we can bear today, why shouldn't we be able to bear tomorrow? This mindset echoes the Stoic idea of amor fati, the love of fate, fortified by the confidence that we possess the inner strength to overcome whatever lies ahead. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the fleeting nature of existence, recognizing how quickly life slips away and vanishes into the vastness of infinity, far beyond our reach. The past, much like the future, is a domain over which we hold no power. What has already occurred is irretrievably lost, and unless we somehow unlock the secrets of time travel, we are powerless to alter it. Reflecting on this, Marcus Aurelius once remarked, "Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone or not revealed." This profound observation underscores the brevity of human life and the limited scope of the world we inhabit. Despite the short span of our lives, which unfold only in the ever-present moment, we often find ourselves obsessively fixated on those realms that lie beyond our control and cannot be re-entered, the future and the past. Marcus Aurelius pointedly stated that the past is nothing and is indifferent in the present. This does not suggest that past events hold no sway over the present or that we cannot derive lessons from them. Rather, it emphasizes the futility of attempting to work with the past, as it remains beyond our grasp. Moreover, our recollections of past events are frequently distorted, and the avenues for verifying what truly transpired are often limited. We rely on memories shaped by personal perspectives and the varying viewpoints of ourselves and others. Thus, the past is not only unreachable, our memories of it are likely to be inaccurate. Yet we persist in dwelling on past events, often replaying them in our minds and reliving the pain they once caused us. Some believe that by reflecting on the past, they can exert some form of control over it, but this belief is nothing more than an illusion. The past is gone, and what we are really trying to control is our thoughts about something that has already been discarded and will never return. Many people find themselves lamenting, "I wish I could have done things differently," but such thoughts are ultimately futile, as they evoke desires that can never be satisfied. No benefit can be derived from wishing for the impossible. Instead of fixating on the events of the past, Marcus Aurelius chose to focus on his response to them. We cannot control past events, and it is likely that we could not have prevented them even when they were occurring in the present. However, we do have the power to control how we position ourselves in relation to these events. Initially, we might view the past as unfortunate. Perhaps we endured a challenging childhood, witnessed the end of cherished friendships, or experienced the collapse of business ventures. But according to Marcus Aurelius, the nature of these events is less significant than how we choose to deal with them. He offered this perspective. It is unfortunate that this has happened. No, it is fortunate that this has happened and that I remain unharmed by it, uncrushed by the present or the fear of the future. It could have happened to anyone, but not everyone could have remained unharmed because of it. Why view one as a trial rather than view the other as fortunate? Can you really call something a misfortune that does not violate human nature? Or do you think that something which is not against nature's will can violate it? But you know what her will is. Does what happened prevent you from acting justly, generously, self-controlled, reasonably, wisely, honestly, modestly, or with integrity? All the qualities that allow human nature to fulfill itself. Interestingly, Marcus Aurelius does not entirely dismiss the value of the past. He believed that we could glean valuable insights from it by observing its patterns, the way things come and go, and how they often repeat themselves. By understanding this rhythm, we can better extrapolate the future, learning from the cycles of history to inform our actions in the present. Marcus Aurelius often reminded us that the present moment is the only certainty we possess. It is the narrow slice of time we have reached amidst the vast expanse of eternity. From this fleeting moment, we can glimpse into the boundless depths of the past and the impenetrable darkness of the future, yet neither is within our grasp. Marcus Aurelius encouraged himself to focus on what lay within his control, the present moment. However, even as we learn to relinquish the past and lessen our anxieties about the future, we may still find ourselves overly concerned with things that do not merit our attention. Trivial matters that occur as we go about our daily lives. We are often dissatisfied with the way life unfolds in the present. When events do not align with our desires, we tend to respond with anger, sadness, or even despair. But according to Marcus Aurelius, such emotional turmoil over the whims of fate is ultimately meaningless. The way the world around us evolves is not something we can dictate. Our power lies solely in how we choose to react to it. Yet we frequently allow ourselves to become upset because reality does not conform to our expectations, or because the outcomes we wish for do not materialize. Marcus Aurelius asserted that we should not resist what we are compelled to accept. He likened those who struggle against fate to pigs, kicking and squealing in vain as they are led to sacrifice. It is futile, for we cannot evade what the gods have ordained. We cannot prevent people from waging wars. We cannot stop natural disasters. We cannot halt the inevitable aging of our bodies. Similarly, we cannot force the world to fulfill our desires. There is no guarantee that those we are drawn to will feel the same about us, nor can we ensure that everyone has equal opportunities in life. This is beyond our control. Yet we often squander vast amounts of time and energy resisting what is, railing against circumstances that we cannot alter by any means available to us. We grow angry when we are denied what we desire, and we become despondent when something unpleasant occurs, turning the present moment into a torture chamber where we are tormented by every twist of fate. On the other hand, we may become so enamored with the present moment that we cling to it desperately, fearing the loss of what we have. In doing so, we once again allow fortune to dictate our lives. But by becoming entangled in everything around us, things that are transient and beyond our control, we often fail to recognize what truly remains within our domain: our choices, our actions, and our opinions. Marcus Aurelius regarded the law of nature as our true master. If we flee from it, or if we succumb to sorrow or anger because of it, we are nothing more than fugitives and deserters. We must learn to accept nature's ways, to embrace them, and to channel our energy into dealing with them rather than wasting it on revulsion or attachment to our circumstances. One approach to accepting the present is found in the 7th book of his Meditations, where Marcus Aurelius advises focusing on what we have rather than on what we lack, but with discernment. He writes, "Treat what you don't have as non-existent. Look at what you have, the things you value most, and think of how much you'd crave them if you didn't have them. But be careful. Don't feel so satisfied that you start to overvalue them, to the point where they would disturb you if you lost them." Despite this guidance, accepting one's circumstances can be challenging, particularly when confronted with significant hardships and life seems to continually present us with obstacles. Isn't it natural to wonder if we could catch a break? But for Marcus Aurelius, adversity was never an excuse to behave like those squealing pigs. Instead, he viewed it as an opportunity to practice virtue, which in Stoic terms means applying philosophical principles to one's life. The art of living is not measured by the grandeur of our external circumstances or by how fortunate we are in our situations, for these are unreliable, fragile, and ever-changing, and they are not truly ours. It is about how we confront the events that life throws at us. This is where our attention should lie, according to the Stoics. As Marcus Aurelius put it, "For me, the present is an opportunity to practice rational virtue, the civic virtue. In short, the art shared by humans and gods. Both deal with what happens as completely natural, neither new nor hard to handle, but familiar and easily manageable." Thank you for watching.